And joining me now to discuss its findings, including the pulse of C-suite and board directors, is Mark Penn. He's the Chief Executive Officer of Stagwell and is in Davos. Mark, good morning.
Thank you. Good morning to you and good afternoon here.
Good afternoon where you are. We so appreciate you joining. And I do want to dive in because your latest Future of News study was released just before the World Economic Forum. How has it driven conversations on the ground this week?
Oh, I think it's driven some good conversations about brands not understanding that many of their marketing departments have been blacking out news when it comes to the marketing and advertisements, creating a vicious cycle where news is demonetized and good journalism as a result is not supported. And so the study shows that, really your typical CEO is a news junkie, checking the news repeatedly every day and wants his marketing department or her marketing department to, in fact, really advertise on the news. It's a social responsibility, we think, for companies to advertise on sports, entertainment, and news.
I do want to dive into the key findings here, Mark, and how they might shape the future after the forum.
Well, if you look at the general outlook of the CEOs, really 90% are following news closely. You look at 70 or 80% saying they should be advertising in news. And you're looking at the CEOs generally saying that they think that the economic outlook is going to be good. They are truly enthusiastic about AI, but they're also worried about the negative potential consequences of AI run amok. Misinformation and other negative elements of AI are also on the minds of CEOs here who really want to see AI be deployed for the advancement of the humankind, as well as here, I think, worried about what it could do to us.
And I want to ask you how your Future of News initiative is aiming to reinvigorate the relationship between news and marketing for good.
Well, we're really finding tremendous uptake of this initiative. The news industry's come together with a lot of brands, realizing that this brand safety issue had run amok and had become censorship. 40% of the articles of even the New York Times were not getting advertisements because a layer of tech was bouncing out advertisements from articles that had any words of controversy whatsoever, as though brands were going to be held responsible for what's going on in the Mideast if their ad appeared in the Mideast. The whole thing was nonsense. And we did a big study that proved that advertisements work equally well in placement in news versus sports versus entertainment. And a smart marketer will be looking at all three. We at Stagwell place about 5 billion of ads, and we're trying to get our clients and clients generally to find out what's going on here, and to look in their organization to see if news is being unreasonably or unfairly blacked out of their marketing.
How do business leaders, Mark, view the importance of news media when it comes to advertising?
Oh, they're really, as you go through the study, they're enthusiastic about that. That's where 70, 80% of the CEOs said, look, their organization should support advertising on news. Look, it's really very simple that if news can't get advertisements, then it has to go subscription or it doesn't exist at all and is replaced by social media posts. But it's socially responsible for companies to advertise on news. And the CEOs that we polled from the Harris poll, one of our various companies, really came through and said it's really important that we all band together and support that. And you see that here at Davos, where the CEOs are really concerned that people get not just any information, and definitely not misinformation, but really quality journalistic information. And I think the CEOs here are generally behind that.
I want to hear more about the consensus among leaders, certainly that this study covered, Mark, when it comes to brand safety, particularly placement of ads next to content that could potentially be controversial.
Well, look, you see, I think that's where we got 57% saying that brand safety as an issue has just been overblown. I think that what happened is, while there are many things, for example, would Boeing want an ad next to a story on a plane crash? Oh, probably not. So it started out well-intentioned, but then as time went on, more and more words would get added. And then what would really happen is that virtually, half of all news stories and quality news stories would get blocked out. And what we really found was it didn't matter. Nobody thinks if your ad appears in a news story about what's going on in Israel that you back Hamas. Okay? Your brand is not tarnished. And in fact, by not advertising on news, your brand can be tarnished because you should be out there saying, we support quality news, information, and journalism. And that should be a plank of the social responsibility of every major corporation.
Mark, my final question to you is how Stagwell is integrating this initiative, the Future of News, into programming throughout the forum, knowing that we do have a bit of time left in Davos.
Yes, no, we've gone to the panels. We are distributing the survey. We are, I think, getting really great pickup. We had several forums with and dinners with groups of marketers and groups of people from the media industry and journalists. So journalists, media executives, CMOs, all of them, I think, are getting together behind this effort. And at Stagwell, we really, as the challenger marketing service company, really see this initiative as one of the things that differentiates us, because we think marketers have to do things differently and not by rote.
Mark Penn, CEO of Stagwell, joining us live on the ground at the World Economic Forum. Mark, thank you so much.
Thank you, Kristen.